My name is Sister Virginia Mary of Christ the King from the Houston Diocese, Houston Galveston Diocese. I'm a native from El Paso, so that's why I'm here. And I'll let you know that my call to religious life began when I was inspired by the mystery of a nun who was very dedicated and passed away. She was a missionary, and I always felt that I would be a missionary where I would go to the missions and let the natives know about God. I was a little girl when I thought that. Then after that, I had thoughts of the Good Shepherd finding me in a rumble bush. We had a lot of those in El Paso. And I saw him taking me out of there. He brought me to San Antonio, and there I lived in a home that had been owned by the Incarnate Word Sisters, and they made it a home where young ladies that would go to college or work and did not have a place to stay would live there. In my time, young women did not live in apartments, or maybe I never knew about it, but I did. They often ask me if I ever thought of entering a religious life, and I says no, I never thought of it. But I sensed in my activities at work and my social life, there was always something within that was not right. And it was not right because it was too much fun, doing my own thing, and it was not fulfilling. And I didn't think I was doing anything for anyone. So I guess in the back of my mind, the thought of doing something for someone beyond my immediate environment had a lot to do with it. In this home, there were the nuns of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, Via de Maria. There was a group of young ladies like myself who knew of Carmel, and they used to tell me about Saint Therese, how she lived in a cloister that never left, and her life was dedicated to prayer, and she would pray for the world at large. And I thought, I don't think I'm qualified, but anyway, I'll go to Carmel and see what it's all about. And I went, introduced myself to the sisters. What my friends were doing were asking the nuns for their intentions. At the time, I had no intentions. All I told the nuns was that I would learn the will of God and do it. And I think it was 3 years after that visit that I was haunted by what I experienced. It was a room smaller than this, dark, and there was only a turn that you could speak to the sisters through. And when I walked out of the door, I heard young women like myself at the time laughing and having a good time like we would have when we were together. And I heard the birds, and I said, my goodness, why couldn't I live a life like this? And after that, I came and I talked to the sisters, and they said, well, would you consider entering if we were to ask you? And I said, yes, and I didn't even question what's your life all about. But through my friends, I had heard that they live a life of prayer. Their cloister, they never leave, they never go home. To this monastery that you enter, that's where you die. And that was it. But it didn't scare me. So I said, that's what I want to do. Because if I'm going to give myself, it'll be worth giving all of this up for something better. And the better was to live a life for God. And I knew that living a life for God and dedicated to prayer would reach a lot more souls and missionaries than I could possibly do were I to be one sister in one congregation assigned to one immediate place. That I could not do as much for them as I could in Carmel. And through the experience, I have found out that that was true. A life of prayer in Carmel for souls, that's a lot more than I could possibly do personally. And so here I am, 42 years old, and it seems like yesterday, every moment of it. And I've tried to live it as full as I possibly can. And I think that one of the things that always intrigued me as a lay person was, do you think you could live a life dedicated to God for the service of the church? I almost said no, but I said, why not? Why couldn't I try it? Because if this is what it does, then I must be one of them. And here I am in Carmel. And I did not know much about Carmel, but when I did find it, I became one with it. And I would encourage anyone that is willing to love souls, and someone in particular, to embrace it. And that would be more fulfilling than one person, because you could do a lot more. So here I am. I am happy here. Thanks be to God.